Donald Trump wants to give your kid $1,000. Sounds too good to be true, right? But it's true. Any kid born in America under his administration is eligible to receive $1,000 in seed money. That seed money is automatically put into a Trump account. This is free money from the government. Economic advisors are saying that parents who take full advantage of these accounts can make their kids a millionaire by the age of 28. And so you might be wondering, should I sign up for one of these accounts? Does the math actually check out? And is this the best way to build generational wealth for your kid? Well, truth be told, yes, sort of, and no. But let's break this down further so that way you can decide if this account is right for your family. First, let's just talk about what a Trump account is. A Trump account is an investment account that any kid born in America with a social security number can get signed up for. Now, the reason why this account is getting so much attention right now is because if your kid was born between January 1st, 2025 and December 31st, 2028, they're eligible to receive $1,000 from the government. Now, this money is really just meant to jumpstart that account. On the website, it literally says jumpstart. And the reason why that money goes to work is because all the money in that account automatically gets invested into low-cost index funds that track the S&P 500, which honestly is just how you should be investing your money anyways. Investing in the S&P 500 simply means that your money is being diversified across 500 of the top companies in the United States. And over the last 18 years, the S&P 500 has gone up 539%. That's an average of about 10.8% year over year. Now, if the same thing happens in the next 18 years, that $1,000 would be $6,390 by the time that your kid turns 18. Now, this is assuming that you never added another penny. But if we want to verify this claim that the Trump account can make your kid a millionaire by the age of 28, we want to let that money sit for another 10 years. And if you did, that would turn into $17,343. Again, if you never added a single penny into that account. Now, obviously, $17,000 is not $1 million. And so does that mean that Trump's economic advisors are lying? Well, again, they're very clear that you need to take full advantage of the account. And that means that you would be contributing the max contribution every single year, which currently is $5,000 per year. And then every year it's slotted to go up another 2% per year. So that means that it would be $5,000 this year, $5,100 the next year. And by the time that your kid turns 19, you'd be able to contribute $10,000 per year to that account. Now, once your kid turns 18, that account would transition into something that closely resembles a traditional IRA. Now, over those next 10 years, the contributions would continue to grow, and assuming that you max out the contributions all the way up until your kid is 28 years old, in theory, they would have $1 million. Now that sounds great, but you would have to invest $216,000 of your own money. Now this does answer our question, can the Trump account make your kid a millionaire by 28? Technically yes, but not from just the $1,000 alone. So I think we've covered most of the basics of what you need to know about this account. Let's actually talk about whether or not you should set up the account at all. There's no cost to setting up this account. It doesn't really take a lot of time to actually set it up, and it won't impact your taxes at all. What I'm trying to say is there's actually no catch to you just signing up for the account, taking the $1,000 and letting it ride so that way your kid has about $6,000 at the age of 18. Maybe that'll at least pay for your kid's books in 18 years. Rather than deciding whether or not to open the account, I think the better question is, should you go ahead and invest $216,000 into the account? Should you even invest $1 into the account, frankly? Well, if you do decide to contribute money, it's important to know that all the money that you contribute, there's no tax incentives to do so, meaning that you can't write off any of the money that you contribute from your income. Now, it's also important to remember that this account closely resembles a traditional IRA at the age of 18. So traditional IRAs, the way that those work is the money that you put into the account, you can typically deduct from your income to lower your tax burden. And then when you do withdraw the money later, you have to pay taxes on it. In comparison, a Roth IRA You've already paid taxes on the money that you contribute, but the advantage is that all the capital gains, all the money that grows in that account, you can withdraw tax-free. If you withdraw any of that money before the age of 60, you pay a 10% penalty on those withdrawals. Which means that any of the money in that Trump account is not very liquid, because even though it's unlocked at 18, unless you're using it for education, you're going to pay a penalty to withdraw some of that money. Now, my biggest gripe with this account is simply the fact that you pay taxes on the money that you contribute and you pay taxes on the money that you withdraw. That means that the money that you've put in there, the $216,000, you've also had to pay taxes on the money you earned in order to contribute that. So in reality, you'd have to probably made about $277,000. You'd have paid taxes on that $277,000, and that would have left you with $216,000 that you could then contribute over the course of 28 years. And then on top of it, you would pay a 10% penalty if your kid wanted to withdraw money at the age of 28. So that means that they don't actually have access to $1 million, they have access to $900,000. And lastly, they're going to be paying taxes on the money that they withdraw from that account, which if it's about 22 to 30%, means that they'd be spending another $250,000 on taxes when they pull out that $1 million. Not sure if you're keeping track of the math here, but that means that your $277,000 investment was actually $650,000 after 28 years. Gotta love Uncle Sam. So what I'm getting at is, before you decide to contribute, let's review some of the alternative accounts that are available to you that offer some tax advantages. Now, the two accounts that I really want to bring up right now are a 529 plan and a UGMA, or a custodial brokerage account. I'll start by talking about a 529 plan, an education savings plan. Most families think that this is just something that you can use to help save up for your kids' college, but it can actually be a lot more than that. One of the main things to know about the 529 plan is that at the age of 18, they can roll over $35,000 into a Roth IRA, not a traditional IRA, a Roth IRA. And the reason why that matters is because if they let that money sit there and withdraw it at 60, they wouldn't have to pay any taxes on the money that they pull out of that account. Now, the other important thing to note about the 529 plan is that in 41 states, you can actually deduct the money that you contribute to that account from your income. It can save taxes on the contributions, and it can save taxes on the withdrawals. Now, the problem is that it's capped at $35,000. Now, I'm sure that rollover limit will rise over time, but assuming that it doesn't, that means that if you were to invest in the S&P 500, it would take about $1,000 per year to reach that limit of $35,000. Meaning that if you have $5,000 per year that you can contribute to the Trump account, because that's the max contribution, and you can only invest $1,000 per year to the 529 plan, you would still have $4,000 per year that you'd need to make a decision on how to invest. Which is why I think it's important to know about a UGMA, a custodial brokerage account. This is simply just an investment account that the parent would manage on behalf of their kid. It's actually incredibly similar to a Trump account from a tax perspective. You have to pay taxes on the money that you've already contributed, and when you withdraw money, you have to pay taxes on the capital gains. But there are two key differences between a custodial brokerage account and a Trump account. The first one, the most important one in my opinion, is that you can withdraw this money penalty-free at any point. You don't have to wait until they're 60 years old like you would with the Trump account. And then the other one is simply the fact that you get to control what the money gets invested in. You could buy individual stocks, you could buy other index funds, you could buy crypto, real estate. I mean, there's a lot of flexibility in terms of what you can invest with that account. Now, regardless if you invest in a Trump account or you invest in the 529 and the UGMA, if you're investing in the S&P 500 and you're putting $5,000 per year into that investment, well then you're going to end up with $1 million at 28. Now, the difference would be that because you're using two accounts, about $100,000 of that would be locked up in the Roth IRA. So you still have to pay a penalty if you did really want to access that money. And instead, you'd have $900,000 that's readily available. You don't have to pay a penalty on. And really, the tax incentives would be identical to the Trump account. And for that reason, I'm choosing to invest in a 529 plan in a UGMA over investing into the Trump account. Because at the age of 25, I'd love for my kids to be able to access that custodial brokerage account and easily buy their first home without having to worry about paying a 10% penalty on the money that they withdraw. Overall, I do think that Trump accounts did one really great thing, and that's it raised awareness to the power of compound interest and what it can have on your kids' lives. Simply just putting $25 per week into an investment account could leave your kid about $60,000 by the time that they turn 18. Let's be honest, $25 a week in 2026 is practically nothing. If you were to automatically have this pulled out of your account, I bet you almost wouldn't even notice. That's why so many people have these subscriptions that they don't even realize they're still paying for. But your kid will feel the difference by having that $60,000 to help them buy books, to help them pay for tuition, to help them graduate college with less debt or potentially even no debt. Whatever account that you do decide to invest in, just know that you're taking a really positive step in helping build generational wealth, and you're doing the right thing. And if you did make it this far and you're looking for more information on this topic, check out the video that I did on how to actually build a middle-class trust fund for less than what most people are paying on their car every single month.